Continuing our discussion of the nephron, we're at the level of the loop and the distal convoluted tubule. We'll put these together, and as we go through this, it's important that you pay attention here. Once again, the physiology is important so that you can then make sense of the pathology. Otherwise, things become really confusing, and you start memorizing. There's no end to it. Overview, we're done with the PCT in its entirety. We're moving down through the descending limb, through the loop, and as you move through the loop, tell me about the urine tonicity. Increased. Hypertonicity. As you move into the area of C and ascending limb, with thick ascending limb, and you have a symport there called your sodium-potassium 2-chloride, and then later on we get into the portion where it says D as in delta, that'll be a distal tubule, and there we shall take a look at our sodium chloride channel. Let's take a look at our loop. Now the loop is, well, as you move down the descending limb, it is permeable to water. Thus, you have medullary hypertonicity. What kind of segment would you then call this? The concentrating segment. Good. And makes the urine, as you can imagine, where? In the medullary loop of Henle as being hypertonic, impermeable to water. What's my next step? You're going to move up the ascending limb. And as you move up the ascending limb, what then happens? While you're focused, once again, we've organized this cell plenty. Let's do it here once more. We have our urine on your left side, the lumen. Then you have the epithelial cell or the renal epithelial cell. And then on the right side, you have your interstitium and your blood. That which is being reabsorbed will then move through your symport. So therefore, what are you permeable to here? Take a look at C as in Charlie. Here in the thick ascending limb. You are permeable here to the solute, correct? If you are if you are permeable to solute, what are you impermeable to? Water. Okay, another important concept. Sodium travels with whom? Chloride, so that it maintains electroneutrality. You know that from basics. Next, along with sodium, wherever sodium goes with the solute, what is this pressure called? What's this method of diffusion? It's called osmosis, right? What's osmosis mean? It means diffusion of water from one compartment to another where you have increased solute. Are we clear? Interesting. So here, in the thick ascending limb, you are ripping the solute away from the water. Where's the water in this picture? In the lumen. You're separating and ripping the solute away from the water. What do you call this water now? Free water. It's been freed. Freedom, liberty, to do as it wants. Prior to this, what kind of water did you have? Clinically, we call this obligated water. Obligated water is when you have sodium bound with water. Here, when you rip the solute apart and you're reabsorbing it, then the water that's left in your thick ascending limb is called free. Thus, what do we call the distal convoluted tubule? The diluting segment. What is your urine osmolarity? Hypotonic. You listen to what I'm saying. Hypotonic. What was it in the descending limb? It was hypertonic because it was permeable to water. What is this mechanism in which you have exchange of water and solute in this area between the descending limb and the ascending limb called? It's called the countercurrent mechanism. Do you remember this? Right? The countercurrent mechanism. Now, we don't have enough time to go through all of that, but at least you know that the countercurrent mechanism is being established here so that you can have proper tonicity and formation of the urine. If you do not do all of this, meaning the countercurrent mechanisms within the loop, you cannot properly concentrate the urine. Thus, you cannot properly dilute the urine. That is important for you to understand. Once again, if this countercurrent mechanism is going to be pathologically affected, magic word, pathologically affected, you cannot properly concentrate this urine, nor can you properly dilute this urine. Why is that important? You shall see. Now, the important physiologic aspects of this that we've talked about already, take a look at that sodium-potassium 2-chloride. You see it? That's your symport. What's the name of the drug that knocks it out quickly? Good. Loop or furosemide. Very good. Next, if you bring in that sodium-potassium sodium, potassium into the cell. You increase the concentration. Where do you begin all of this process? Like everything else with the sodium, potassium pump. So here's my potassium that is accumulating inside my cell. Then this potassium is going to be forced to do what? Back leak, which then facilitates what? Take a look at the picture, please. You see the magnesium and calcium? And that is being paracellularly reabsorbed. So if this entire mechanism of the loop, where it destroys the sodium-potassium 2-chloride mechanism, you lose everything. Now the thick, continuing, actively reabsorbs your sodium-potassium 2-chloride. Indirectly, what's this mean to you? Back leak will reabsorb magnesium, calcium. Why? As the potassium comes back out into the lumen, back leak, you're increasing the positivity, right? Transmembrane. Increasing the positivity, so therefore you're literally going to, what do likes do? Charges. What do likes do? Repel. So, there it goes. It's repelling the magnesium, calcium between the cell. Think of it as such, you'll be fine. Now, it is important that you pay attention to this potassium channel. You want to know the name of this potassium channel. Think of it as being the ROMK, at least know outer medullary potassium channel, the receptor for it. Receptor for the outer medullary potassium, ROMK. Know this, because at some point in time, when they refer to this, then you'll know that this is the back leak channel responsible for reabsorption of magnesium, calcium. Do you need to know that detail? Yes, you do. Trust me. New questions all the time. Evolution of exams, evolution of what we know, so that you have the proper information and equipped properly, so that any question that comes at you, you're not fooled, and you know the level of detail that's required of you. Let's move on. Impermeable to water. We talked about, where am I? Thick ascending limb. What do we call this? The beginning of the diluting segment. What's diluting mean? There it is. Hypotonic.